Oh. Uh-oh, one person was waiting. Sorry for the bad video. I had a light bulb go out and I don't have a ladder to replace it, so a little dark in here tonight. Hi, guys. Anybody comes in, hi. Okay, well, I'll be sitting here working since nobody has come into the room yet. I am getting out the newest monthly contractor reports for QC. Hello, somebody hopped in. They hopped in, but they aren't saying hi. They say how it is. All right, well, I am going to continue working till such time as I get a question. Oh, hey, Ashima, how are you? Good. I'm just working, trying to get March's QC report done and get it out the door since we got all the other stuff finally added and fixed. Get this one done, the time it's supposed to be. How are you doing? It says there's a few people in here now. Why is nobody saying hi? Hello. Hi, Zephyr. Okay, so this is my Pediatric Brain Tumor Foundation um, benefit ride hat. I think this is the third year we've done it. I do event management on it, so it's a charity motorcycle ride, but one of many that my husband and I go on every year. Yeah, it's kind of fun. I like it. I can't complain. Yeah, actually, you can clone all the events. Just make sure you remove everything that is an SDH identifier, anything in the brackets, which means there'll probably be 50, 60 subtitles that you'll have to remove because all they are is an SDH identifier. And then you'll have to remove the ones that are inside the events, but that's not going to be an issue since you're translating anyway. So you're going to highlight all of that and type over it anyway. So just as long as you don't include any SDH events, you're good. And you'll find it's probably going to be nicer timed than an English template would be because I'm one of those people that does the templates for SDH, and we're kind of anal about our timing. It's usually a pretty good one to use. I like to use the CC backlot template, to be honest. Oh, hey, Erickson. Carla. Sorry, I'm working while I'm doing this tonight. Trying to kill two birds with one stone. Yeah, we all do, I'm sure. Hey, Christian. Christian, now you can ask questions. Sorry, I'm still working. I've been telling everybody I'm here. I'm just working while I'm doing this. I have so much to do before I leave Friday. It's ridiculous. Absence of reference material to be subtitle. Okay, so if there is no show guide and it's not a kids show, the standard is going to be you're not going to do subtitles for songs, like at all. If it's a kids show, typically we'll do most of them because they're usually original, especially if it's a Disney show or a cartoon. But if it's a normal adult song or adult show, those songs most likely will not be subtitled. That's the standard anyway. Uh, Christian, are you going to ask questions? Going down. Oh, questions have come in. Carla, go ahead. Okay, so in a situation of a first person narrator. Yes, italicize their lines, especially if you're doing like a lot of the 30-minute shows or 45-minute shows, especially at the beginning of the show, they'll start with, a narration by one of the main characters. It's always italicized. And then the perspective of the scene is from the phone of the character shooting video and talking. Okay, so if somebody is taking video and talking, that's where they're not seen and it's a narration. Is that what you're talking about? Because if so, yeah, I would italicize that too. If you actually never see the person, I would. Correct, Ashima. If it's not done in English template, you're likely not going to do it um, in your translation. Now, because you're working off a CC backlot, you're going to see lyric translation or lyric transcription because it's a requirement for SDH. But typically, if you were looking at an English template, no, you would not see them. Carla, okay, so I understand where you're coming from, but using the guidelines should give you a consistency, to be honest. I know you say you've got in here, we should use our best judgment, but 99% of it isn't about judgment, it's following the guidelines. Unless there's something specific that you can mention. Pooper. Okay, so I understand where you're coming from, but usually that'll either be corrected in QC or they'll get a QC fail. And it will get conformed eventually because if you're going off an English template, the English template's going to be the same for everybody. And if it's not in the English template, then it typically won't be in the translation. If somebody decides to add it at the origination, the QCer will most likely remove it. If it's not plot pertinent, the QCer will generally remove it. I know, you follow the guidelines. You're a good girl. You're welcome. That's the one good thing about translation. Um, even if there are no reference material, those of us that are doing the English templates have pretty much gotten every information we can through research and everything else to try to make that template about as perfect as possible, especially if it's a recent show. If it's a recent show and not an old one that you're going off somebody else's template, then it'll be good. Trust me, I so get that because I go bonkers on my English templates when somebody QCs it that doesn't know what they're doing and they mess it all up. Oh, I feel like I need to kill people at that moment. Yes. You know that sudden desire to throat punch somebody? Mess with my template. That's exactly what happens. I get you completely. Christian, you crack me up. Okay, so let me give you an easy synopsis on QC work. My suggestions for people doing QC work. If you're QCing an English template, you can be picky in that they actually type exactly what is being said. For English templates, we want full, accurate transcriptions. Now, granted, it's not a true verbatim because we do remove the stutters, remove the nonverbals like ums and ahs and ohs, unless it's an obvious, oh, by the way, kind of thing. Um, so it's not a true verbatim, but it is close. So in that, I am picky. I am not super picky, obviously, about line breaks and about reading speed because we necessarily doing English templates don't need to worry about that. It's going to be adjusted with the translator. Um, I'm picky, but not overly picky on punctuation. I'm picky on spelling because that can make a big difference in a translation. Um, and then timing, shot change timing, I'm extremely picky on. Timing to audio, I just make sure that it's at least timed to the audio. If it's a little long, that's okay. If it starts a few frames before, that's okay. But those are the things that I am most picky about. And I'm very picky that they catch all pertinent on screen text. If there is no show guide, I make sure all on screen text that would be pertinent or something that I would want is there. I make sure um, I am picky with burn in placement. If there is a burn in, that it is exact. So those are the things I am picking on. If you're doing a translation QC, it's a little different because there you've got the translation. And if the translation they put in sounds good, it flows. It's not what you would have put, but it is accurate and it doesn't. Honey Bear. If it is an accurate translation and it isn't incorrect or stilted, I leave it alone. So, okay, I gotta say, with the extra spaces at the end of a first line, I am kind of picky about that. I take those out. No, I get you, Christian. But the thing is if there is something wrong, then it's wrong. Well, the thing is those spaces count as characters, which increase your character reading speed. And if it's going to affect my reading speed, I don't want it there. I mean, I even use the Alt 0133 instead of the 3 dots for the ellipsis because it's only 1 character instead of 3. Bandit. Ashima, yes, you can. You can use the question mark. Should you subtitle the happy birthday song? Um, yeah. Yeah, I would, to be honest. Especially since the characters are singing it typically. If somebody is singing something, I typically do subtitle it, regardless of the song, because they're singing it. It's not like the recorded audio. I do subtitle it and then tag it. Lori just sent me a message to let me know she has made it to the airport for her flight. Hi, Yuna. Yes, Carla, I will be sending out the new QC reports in about an hour for March. I have all the numbers in, and since everything got updated last month with all the new abandonment reports and everything, you will be getting new ones for March within an hour. And since so many people had bad numbers last month, I am sure no one will complain. I know how that feels, you know. Christian, it's not subtitled in the translation I'm QCing. Okay, are you QCing a translation or an English template? Oh, I see. If it's translated from Spanish, maybe they didn't. Is the song itself in English? Because I can tell you what happens sometimes on these into English template creations. The reason you're QCing it is because you're native English. And because the translator was native Spanish, they have a native English do the QC to correct any grammar issues, that kind of thing. Since you're doing an English template from a non-English source, be careful of grammar, be careful of spelling. You can trust their translation, but just make sure it's accurate. So you do have a little more leeway there. Um, make sure that all the on screens have been translated. If you find one that isn't, that they didn't add, make sure you note that and do a Zendesk ticket. And yes, Gloria is going to France. I'm leaving Friday for our conference in France. Gloria will be on vacation for 2 weeks, and I'll be in France for the conference and then on vacation for the rest of the week as well. And yes, we got like around 40 comments with just one or two things changed on the POs. So Shiksha will get those done before the 15th and get those all changed. Oh, more comments. Oof. Yes, please do FN tagging for all on-screen text as well. Sometimes they do it, but then it gets stripped for some reason. It's not carrying over, and we've mentioned this in the Netflix. Hopefully that'll get fixed. If you get a lot of annotation missing and you do a conformance, get rid of it, because that's ridiculous. I don't think there's a person in this world that doesn't know what "oh my God" means. More messages. Okay, again, I don't know anyone that doesn't know who Stevie Wonder is, to be honest. Occasionally you'll see burned in subtitles because you're working on a lost cut before the final video usually, and those were put in for translation purposes because maybe it's Spanish, but it's a different dialect of Spanish, and so they put that in for the reader to understand, but those will usually get removed on the final cut. Oop, more messages. Gloria mentioned that we don't FN tag during QC. On an English template, it's a little different. We do. Translation, we don't. But for English templates, we do tag. It's one of the only QCs you can tag in. To be honest, if you can FN tag while you're doing QC on a translation, do so. Because they had it basically, it was an error in the system that we could no longer FN tag during QC on translation because we should still be able to. So hopefully that was fixed. Hopefully. Yeah, Christian, that's exactly what they do. If it's in different forms of Spanish, then they'll put in a burned in subtitle for non-neutral Spanish so that it can be translated over. I don't know everything, but I'm pretty good at figuring out what it is. Yeah, that's what it. The mixture of three languages, you're going to see subtitles, but those will most likely be gone on the final edit. If you're doing QC and you don't see a tag, go ahead and add it in. Well, subjective flags don't count as harshly on your QC report. Basically, everything that's in red is a full 1 point on QC. Everything that's black or subjective is only half a point. So subjective errors aren't counted as harshly, both by Netflix and ourselves. Hang on just a second, guys. I'm finishing this last copy and paste so that I can get this into the system and get these reports out. Any numbers to move over. Hush. Yes, I was talking to you. Hush. Enough. I have restless dogs. Okay, almost done. Whew. Getting this report compiled sometimes takes hours. Okay, let's see what else was up here. So if I change the timing for preference, let's say I can't see a subtitle starting 4 frames after a shot change, I fix it and flag it as subjective. Yeah, Carl, I do the same thing. Ashima, is it okay to change the text from CC backlot while creating English template? Ashima, are you creating an English template or are you translating? I did. If you're doing an English template, you don't have to worry about the validation issues too much, like the reading speed issues. No. Um, Ashima, if you're doing an English template, then you need to match what is said as correctly as possible. With SDH, a lot of times we do paraphrase if there might be reading speed issues because reading speed is very, very important in SDH. So we might paraphrase there, just so you know. Okay, let's see. Oh, no other questions. Oh, wow, we're almost done. I've only got 4 minutes left. Well, any last questions before we're done for the night? Okay, cool. I just figured I'd ask. Have a good night, guys. Yeah, Ashima, if you're doing the English template, make it as correct to the English as possible, please. All right, well, that's it for me, guys, tonight. Wasn't a whole lot. It was a slow night. What can I say? But I did answer questions. Yay! I will see you guys Friday sometime. I'm not sure if I will be able to keep the same time as normal since I will be on the way to the airport or at the airport by then for my flight. Gloria and I, just as a reminder, I'm not sure that Gloria and I will be able to keep all the YouTubes next week. We will be in France at a convention, but we will do absolutely as many as possible. So I will see you guys on Friday sometime. Have a good night, guys.